Welcome to the Tyler Werner Show, discussing all the latest in Philadelphia sports. Hey, Howie Roseman is like the man here in Philly right now. All these guys Chip brought in last year, from Byron Maxwell to DeMarco Murray, their tenures here didn't even last as long as Deflategate, for crying out loud. Just goes to show you that Howie is king here. And if the chosen one, Carson Wentz, doesn't pan out here in Philly, we're all going to point the finger at none other than Howie Roseman. And now, here's Tyler Werner.
And good day, everybody. Welcome to the Tyler Werner Show. Another edition. Eagles training camp opens up, ladies and gentlemen, this past Monday afternoon. And last week or so, I've been definitely feeling the anticipation building as far as Eagles season, football season coming, the sports season in general. As always. Now, I say that, and I don't know. Obviously, I feel like the anticipation, however, for this season is a little bit down compared to recent years. And, you can throw out obvious reasons. For instance, Carson Wentz obviously not starting this season, the number 2 draft pick. I mean, things might get more, whereas, say you had the 76ers and you have Ben Simmons lighting up the world in the Summer League. And I know people want to say, well, it's only Summer League. Well, when he's playing with more guys who are going to receive passes better, more skilled players, and, obviously playing against more skilled players as well, but it's the guy, he's going to be, I guess, quote unquote, the centerpiece with the Sixers going forward. I don't think there's really any debate of that right now. I mean, the passes he makes, we can go on, but he was the right pick. And I think, although the Sixers, the goal the last few years has been to get the number 1 overall pick, obviously you're relying on some ping pong ball madness to go your way for that. At least out of the last 3 years, it appears as though the Sixers may have gotten, had the best year to get the number 1 pick. And surely enough, Ben Simmons, he's looking like the, I guess, quote unquote, the right pick over Brandon Ingram, which, I was kind of saying before, I'm not going to jump on that bandwagon of, Ben Simmons overall, the best selection. And sure enough, that's the selection that was made. So, you had a little bit of that in the last month, obviously, a little bit of anticipation, seeing what he can bring to the table. Dario Saric comes over, of course, to the Sixers. And there's an overabundance of big men, which obviously at some point there'll be some dealing away with that. Flyers, of course, I don't see him making great strides in the coming season. They got both Michael Neuvert and Steve Mason contract years. They're maybe compete for the the starting goaltender spot. I guess we got a little competition there. Braden Shen signed to a 4-year deal today. I guess $5 million per year. And, other than that, I'm looking forward to Sixers a little more this season. Not that they're going to win or anything. Not that they'll win, in excess of 30 games, or, maybe they don't reach 30 games. But just, you got Ben Simmons out there now. You got all these big men, I guess, competing for, to be on the Sixers. And who's gonna stay? Who's gonna go? It's definitely better than what we're used to the last few years with, just quote unquote the tankathon.
I agree.
So, that's the Sixers. At least they do have that going for them this year, and few years' time, hopefully they can build up to that championship level. Might need a little more veteran leadership, perhaps, on the floor. A little more veteran talent, but for now, maybe start to see some of this, the core of this team start to come together here for the Sixers. But other than that, football does rule the day. I'm starting to get that excitement. I mean, it's almost, we got less than a week left here in the month of July, and then, August hits, and then preseason comes along. I know the general consensus, there's, a little bit of, just not as much intrigue, I guess, heading into this season as we've had the last few years with, the Eagles team that had playoff expectations heading into each season, and, this quarterback and how he's going to play, and, this new guy that Chip brought in, and this guy that how are they going to gel? Top market free agents that aren't even here anymore, of course, as evidenced by the intro to the show today. But you get the idea. There's, you have Doug Peterson, this new head coach. And it's a sharp contrast from the buzz that Chip Kelly brought when he came in a few years ago. And again, quite frankly, including myself, I feel like we just don't really know what Doug Peterson, how he's gonna pan out. I don't know. I mean, put it this way: like, is there anybody out there who's like has this feeling that he's got this hidden revolutionary play, but like a Chip Kelly gimmick thing, which it ran its course here and just did not end well, of course, and he just didn't have enough to bring to the table at the end of the day, and the franchise just ran on dead batteries, essentially. Like, is there anything like innovative to, like, Doug Peterson? Like, does anybody just get like some kind of vibe? Without like, does he give you any kind of like vibe that he could be not the next Bill Belichick, or not. I mean, it's hard to say that anybody else will be the next Bill Belichick or whoever, but is he just doesn't, I don't think, rub people this way that we know that he totally knows what he's doing. And I mean, I hate to put it so bluntly like that, but at the end of the day too, I mean, I'm not sitting here saying he's going to be a failure. This Eagles team is not, under him. Because at the end of the day, I guess we don't know. But I'm just in like the ultimate let's wait and see mode, I guess. Because, I mean, he stems obviously from the Andy Reid tree here. And a big part of the idea of bringing him here, I guess, was, again, Jeffrey Lurie. This whole idea kind of like reaching back a little bit. And that's what, like, it seems like there's a theme going on here, hearkening back to, say, that, that late 90s era of Eagles football, where Andy Reid was the new head coach. And eventually, they draft Donovan McNabb. And now, of course, this year it's Carson Wentz. Quote unquote, the quarterback of the future, the hopeful franchise quarterback, hopefully the guy that will lead this Eagles team to its first Super Bowl championship. And ideally, more than just one championship. But start with one, of course. And then go from there. It seems like that's the whole idea. And Doug Peterson, where Chip Kelly at this time last year, was getting criticized for, passing by Brandon Boykin in the hallway at the NovaCare complex and not saying anything to, here you got like the opposite. Doug Peterson, who's supposed to be like, really a good players coach. A guy who,
you got to open your heart.
Opens his heart, I guess, a little more to the players. And I'm just hearing too about, the reports, the idea how here are the Eagles at training camp, they're having, full pads and stuff, whereas the Chip Kelly regime, they weren't having really pads at all, if I'm not mistaken, in training camp. I mean, you just got contrasts here, and it's very interesting. And I mean, at the end of the day, to me, these differences. I don't know. At the end of the day, I don't really know. The first things first, there's not a whole lot of talent on this team. I mean, I guess just kind of get that out of the way right now. Again, I'm not expecting anything great this season. I think I went through the schedule when it came out in April, and this was before the draft. But still, not after this draft, which was, will go down as the Carson Wentz draft and not much else really. My general idea or feeling obviously hasn't really changed, as the roster hasn't changed too much either, and just in like the ultimate wait and see mode. I believe I went down the schedule in April and I came up with 7-9, I think. And so right then and there, a lot of people were in that realm. I guess a lot of fans 7. I'm hearing like 8-8s, some 9-7s. Maybe I'll go down the schedule a little later in the show, but maybe at the end of the show. But I wanted to go through a little day one training camp report, which we'll do on the other side here, the break coming up. But that plays into it too with me. That just the idea and just my theory that the overall excitement level for this Eagles team this year is a little bit down. And you know what? That's okay. At the end of the day, when football gets going, I get into it. And whether or not the Eagles are good, I still get into it. Obviously, they start out 0-4 or something like that, and it's just looking like it's going to be a rough season. That's obviously going to be unfortunate.
Oh, God, ease our suffering in this our moment of great despair.
But, football, playoff time, just down the stretch. It's just fun to watch across the board. And despite, maybe the interest level being down for the Eagles, at the end of the day, football is football to me. And if this season is going to be one of those where the expectations are, they're not high or anything. As long as the Eagles don't, go 4-12 or something like that, and which in my eyes would be underachieving by a few games, then all is well. Expectations are not high. This is a wait and see mode. Doug Peterson, again, he has some limited experience, which when he got hired in the first place was kind of what made many people, including myself, scratch our heads a little bit. And not to mention the talent level in this roster, especially offensively, right now to me it just has holes. And defense, there's some holes as well, but hey, one thing's for sure. The Eagles' offense, at least they're not going to be going 3 and out in 30 seconds how many times a game, and they're not going to be bringing the defense right back out on the field like last year. So at least that's a good thing, right? But anyhow.
Was that like a wise-ass comment?
Facebook.com/Tyler Werner Show. I know this show's not live, but I figure I'd throw it out there as we run into a little commercial break right here in the Tyler Werner Show. Catch my breath a little bit. And on the other side, dig into a little bit of CSN.com Philly, or CSNPhilly.com training camp notes from day one, because chances are you who are listening were not there. But we'll surely enough, though, there shall be some practices. You know, there's open practices for the public in training camp, which is always a cool opportunity if you get a chance to go see them in training camp and see for yourself what goes on. But on the other side, nevertheless, we'll get some, general observations. Bring that to you right here in the Tyler Werner Show. Be right back after this.
The champion of game day catering is the official meatball of the Tyler Werner Show, Brady and Belichick's slow-cooked Italian meatballs.
We prepare our balls over time, and that's the essence of the preparation.
On top of that, another trademark of Brady and Belichick's slow-cooked Italian meatballs is Brady's signature rubbing process.
When I pick balls out, to me, they're perfect. I don't want anyone touching the balls after that. I don't want anyone rubbing them. To me, those balls are perfect.
What is a concern is the texture of the balls, and again, that's the point that Tom hit on hard.
The champion of all game day catering dishes is Brady and Belichick's slow-cooked Italian meatballs, the official meatball of the Tyler Werner Show.
Number 1 box office attraction, number 1 WWE superstar, multi-time WWE champion, Brock Lesnar.
Time to revamp your office space, eh? Looking for an interior decorator? Look no further than Brock Lesnar.
Now that's the way a real man uses a sledgehammer.
Out with the old, in with the new. Give Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman a call.
Mr. Lesnar, you're the future of interior decorator. Ellie, we're done.
Hi there, I'm Hank Hill. Well, I'd like to tell you what Strickland can do to meet your energy needs. You see, at Strickland, the customer comes first. It's kind of interesting. The word customer begins with CU. Well, we don't see you as just another sale, but as a member of our team. I thought you might enjoy 7.5 gallons of pure premium propane. Strickland Propane, the customer comes first.
All right, we're back. Right here in this kind of return edition of the Tyler Werner Show. July is a little bit of a slow month. Always a month that, for me, kind of requires some vacationing. And especially when you got grandparents that have a place down near the shore in Delaware. And other than that, you just kind of got a dead month of sports until Eagles training camp opens up, which, again, today was that day. And quite frankly, football just around the corner. And that's always a good thing in my book. Even when you got some mild, just mild expectations. Just that, I don't know, that the defense looks good. Fletcher Cox has a good season. This guy maybe stays healthy. That guy, I don't know. Maybe see what on the depth chart you have. See if Nelson Aguilar can show some promise in the receiving core that could use some more help. Jordan Matthews is a slot receiver, but it's like they might move him on the outside this year. They just don't have much on the outside. And you just don't know what you have in Nelson Aguilar yet. And so, I don't know. And then you got Sam, of course, Sam Bradford, who is basically just playing this season for the Philadelphia Eagles to look good and play for someone else next year and get a good contract for himself next year. I don't know. Now, he gets hurt, maybe Carson Wentz comes out, and then you got something interesting to talk about. But that remains to be seen, I guess, for now. Not to mention Sam Bradford gets hurt, or if he plays inefficiently and they make a change. We'll see. But nevertheless, let's get on with this training camp report. Some notes and observations. Dave Singaro from CSNPhilly.com. Was there and was able to get a glimpse of what was going on at training camp today. Unlike many of us who, we just have to rely on what some of these experts and attendees at training camp saw and observed on day one. So here we go. The Eagles practice on the field at the NovaCare Complex, 8:40 a.m. this morning, in 90-plus degree weather, of course. It was another hot one today. Certainly a hot weekend. It was the first practice under new head coach Doug Peterson, who said he had trouble sleeping Sunday because of the excitement and the massive thunderstorm that rolled through the area. That makes sense. For now, there are just 38 players out of 90 in training camp, as a matter of fact. The rest of the team won't report until Wednesday, and the first full team practices until Thursday afternoon. Peterson said the team will be in pads for the first time Saturday. Oh, look at that. The plan is to have pads on for 3 days, then off 1, on 3, etc. So right out of the gate there you go, 3 out of 4 days in pads. Sharp contrast from the Chip Kelly training camp. For what it's worth, the first full team practices until Thursday afternoon. So I guess we'll bear that in mind, that even though today was the first day of training camp, it wasn't even half of the players of the 90-man roster. But anyhow, 4 of the 38 players that were in training camp today and right now are the quarterbacks. Bradford, Chase Daniel, Carson Wentz, and the recently re-signed Michael Bethel Thompson. For those who, I guess...
Who is this?
The guy who will not be on the 90-man or 53-man roster. Excuse me. So, alright, all quarterbacks were there. During the spring, while Bradford, Daniel, and Wentz worked with the first, second, and third teams respectively, they split the reps evenly. Eventually, the bulk of those practice snaps will need to go to Bradford, obviously, as he prepares to be the starter, especially since he's getting paid the money to do that. But does Peterson have a plan during camp? Well, I'm not officially there yet, he said. I do know this. Your first 2 preseason games, typically your starters don't play a ton. You're trying to save them for that third game and get them ready for the regular season. So we'll focus on the 2s and 3s probably a little bit more early in camp. probably give them the bulk of the reps. Then we'll ramp the guys up who we think are going to be the starters opening day. We'll get them more reps towards the end of camp. Peterson had some thoughts on Nelson Aguilar. Second-year receiver Aguilar won't be reporting to camp until Wednesday, at which time he'll finally be asked about his involvement, of course, in an incident at a gentleman's club in June. He was accused of sexual assault, but the district attorney decided there wasn't enough evidence to charge him. And of course, that news came out last week. Speaking of sexual assault, well, not sexual assault, but domestic assault. Now there's the accusations, of course, flipping over to Ezekiel Elliott of the Dallas Cowboys' new addition in their backfield. And it's, I don't know who saw that, but it's just ironic how Aguilar is determined, not guilty or not enough evidence to charge him or whatever. And then over in Dallas Cowboyville, you got Ezekiel Elliott, photo act. We'll see what happens there, but might not be good for the Cowboys. But anyhow, it's a story that we'll monitor. Doug Peterson said he hasn't spoken to Aguilar since the incident. He didn't think it was necessary to speak to him at the time. Peterson did say the two of them will have a private chat once Aguilar returns. I'm still not going to comment too much on it, Peterson said. I just know this, that we all make mistakes. We learn from them. We move on. And we just look forward to getting him to camp and getting ready to go. So the first 3 days. Training camp won't really look or feel like training camp until Thursday, when the entire team practices together. Until then, it's just a bunch of rookies and quarterbacks. Boring, of course. But what does Doug Peterson hope to accomplish these days? First of all, it's a great 3 days to get acclimated, number one, to the schedule, he said. It's great for the coaches to kind of get back into the swing of football and thinking football before we get the rest of the team in here. And then I think, thirdly, just getting the quarterbacks in here and getting their arms loose and kind of getting into a full lather before they really get cranked up Friday, Saturday, and the rest of camp. So here we go. Here comes the observations. Not a ton, because of the lack of numbers in training camp, of course. But here are a few that Dave Zangaro came up with. Credit Quentin Gauss for the first kind of hard hit of the 2016 training camp. He popped Wendell Smallwood after the rookie running back caught a pass from Bradford during 7-on-7s. Aaron Grimes, the former CFL cornerback, made a nice play down the left sideline to break up a Chase Daniel pass to Marcus Johnson. Grimes has a little edge during camp right now because of his professional experience. Johnson couldn't haul that one in, but the wideout from Texas had a pretty good day, eventually grabbing some long balls. So, alright, so after that play, there you go. Carson Wentz, like he did in the spring, showed off the deep ball again today. He doesn't always hit those passes, and some of them are ill-advised, but he likes to throw it deep more than Bradford and Daniel. Alright. Former Oregon running back Byron Marshall, who missed all of OTAs thanks to the NCAA/NFL graduation rule. He had a pretty nice day aside from a fumble. He is especially good catching the ball out of the backfield. Because of the small numbers in camp right now, quarterback Bethel Thompson, that's the fourth stringer essentially, played some tight end Monday. It didn't look great. At one point, a pass came his way, and it looked like Gauss might have interfered with him while taking him to the ground. That red jersey doesn't mean much when Bethel Thompson lines up at tight end. All right. Doesn't it remind anybody of the like the Tim Tebow thing? Like, oh well, if he doesn't play quarterback here, maybe they have a spot on him for tight end. Oh. That's just fun. I couldn't help myself but laugh there because of small numbers. Well, we know that guy's gonna make the roster as a quarterback. Anyway, a good sign for Smallwood. Saw him pick up a blitz without hesitation Monday. That's important because that's probably the area of his game that needs the most improvement. And finally, the difference in the pace of practice between Peterson and Chip Kelly is shocking. There's just a lot fewer plays run under Peterson, who chooses to do his coaching on the field instead of in the meeting room. At one point, there was about a 30-second delay between snaps. If that happened under Chip Kelly, his head would have exploded. Well, anyway.
Was that like a wise-ass comment?
Alright, so those are day one observations. Again, you got 38 guys out there. You have the quarterbacks, including one of them playing tight end. But, due to the shortage of people out there, I guess Zach Ertz and Brent Selleck maybe they're not there yet. They'll throw Bethel Thompson over there. In his red shirt yet, I guess. But anyhow, those are the observations of day one of training camp. We'll wait and see, I guess, what, maybe when everybody's there, things will get a little more interesting. But you get a little bit of, at least the guys that were there, I guess you get some idea of at least some things. I mean, no surprise that, that there's a difference in the pace of practice between Peterson and Chip Kelly, fewer plays, yada yada. I mean, that's great. If this hasn't really expressed much so far, I mean, it's the first day of training camp. There's not a lot of guys there. But nevertheless, we're talking football on the Tyler Werner Show. Again, football season is coming, and this is just the beginning of training camp. Now, we have more on Carson Wentz, as a matter of fact. I mean, as far as training intrigue goes, I mean, that's kind of the, if anything, I mean, hey, Carson Wentz was there. How did he do? And, the guy who's, quote unquote, supposed to be the quarterback of the future for the Philadelphia Eagles, the franchise quarterback. It looks like we might have some audio we can run here for you. Maybe if the page would respond again as it reloads. But quote Carson Wentz, I can guarantee that whenever my number is called, I'll be ready. Maybe we can get some audio here in a second. But, as always, I mean, it's like when you want to... Okay. Looks like this time maybe the page reloaded, so maybe we can, fire up a brief little snippet of interview from training camp today here with Carson Wentz. As I continue to just kind of talk in a circle here, as I kind of wait for the video to, the audio to fire itself up here. So we will, maybe we'll fire up some Jeopardy music. Yeah, I just clicked on this. I mean, maybe had I seen it earlier, I would have got it up and got it more prepared. But then again, sometimes you just find these things out of the blue, and you just kind of feel, oh, well, here you go, some audio. But the computer's kind of freezing up, so I don't know. We might have to pass on that. I don't know. No pun intended. When it comes to quarterback Carson Wentz. But apparently apparently he likes to throw the deep ball more. I guess maybe that's a good thing. Oh. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't think this is going to play really, but nevertheless, day 1 training camp in the books for the Philadelphia Eagles. And we she'll see maybe what other observations we have circulating around out there, maybe once everybody gets to training camp. And sure enough, we'll be here to discuss them on the Tyler Werner Show. So, stay tuned for the next edition of Tyler Werner Show's football season is making its way back here once again. And we're right here to talk about it, as always, on the Tyler Werner Show. So thanks for tuning in, as always, everybody. We'll talk to you.